Hello and welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I'm Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. If you want to learn how to support this channel, its mission to normalize atheism and deconversion, stay tuned to the end of the video. Today I'm kind of editorializing. I have an outline, but I'm not using a full script. But I wanted to talk about an issue, what I think now of presuppositionalist apologetics and the current landscape of apologetics. Mostly in a very unscripted way. I'll try to edit out pauses and stuff that are where I go down rabbit trails here, but Wednesday I do want to kind of do an editorial every week. I just got to catch up with my reaction videos, or maybe I just won't try to catch up and do one a week anyway. But today I'm talking about this issue because when I was reacting live a few weeks ago to Braxton Hunter's 5 questions for atheists in 2025, he plays a clip from Cameron from Capturing Christianity, where Cameron basically says, you know, he's changing his attitude towards atheists and the fact that they have to kind of prove their point, and he's not going to try to prove his Christian point to them. And that's a very presuppositionalist apologist kind of move. It's why I don't allow them to comment on the channel. To me, it's inherently dishonest, but I'll get to that in my closing remarks. Because if you make a claim, I think it's behoovent on you. It's a matter of honor that if you make a claim, that you should be the one that defends the claim. And the problem with presuppers is they want to go to this idea of grounding. My introduction to presup was actually in seminary when I read one of Plantinga's books, and he talked about his idea of base beliefs, or how base beliefs are grounded. And so for those of you who are currently dealing with presuppositional apologetics, understand it's been around for a while. It has waxed and waned in popularity, and the fact that it's rising in popularity even among mainstream apologists, where they're kind of using some elements of it to kind of defend themselves, kind of indicates that it's kind of on the rise to me. But to me, I think this also is an indication that that apologetics realizes that it's losing. To me, the rise of presup is a victory for atheists, and I'm going to try to make that point today. But when I was in seminary, I read his book. There was one particular part that we discussed in class where Plantinga lays out his, like, we have base beliefs in certain things. Like, he talks about we have basic memory beliefs in, like, if I go to work, I still have this base memory that my apartment or house is still there to go back to. Okay, and then he talks about the existence of other people and several other things. And when we were asking to discuss it in class, this is one of the few rare times that my autistic self kind of chimed up. Of course, I did feel much more at home, I feel much more at home in academia anyway, because it's kind of this way anyhow. But my response then was, well, yeah, except that with other people, I interact with them. Okay, I genuinely, they're right in front of me, you know, I can talk to them, I can interact with them, stuff like that. With my memory beliefs, I have the continued evidence of going home and there's my house or there's my apartment. That's very different than God, okay, the claim that God exists, because Plantinga's whole point is to say that the belief in God is a base belief, and that it's the other side that needs to prove that it's not. The problem is there's a very different set of evidence for what he considers base beliefs and God, because God seems to be the hide-and-seek champion of all time, doesn't really provide any direct evidence of himself, like going back and forth to my work and house would of those two places existing. I mean, sure, a fire could burn down one of them, but I'm not going to suddenly disbelieve that my workplace or my home suddenly stops existing until I get evidence that tells me the contrary. And that base belief isn't really, it's built on experience. Okay, it's built on actual evidence of touching, and, you know, there it is. The same with belief in other persons. You know, you interact with people and you're like, okay, they're like me in this way, they're like that. And you can't do that with God. Now, other people claim, oh, but I pray to God and I talk to him. prove that you're talking to God, okay, and not yourself. Pre-Supp has always been one to question the opposition and not answer questions. Okay, they even in that book, it was like, you know, you don't have to prove your faith; they have to prove non-faith, and was kind of a theme in it. And I remember thinking, no, that's dishonest. Okay, if I'm going to make a claim, I think I'm honor bound to prove it. Okay, and so I will say this. I think presuppositional apologetics is inherently without honor. Okay, it just isn't. And that's a victory for us. That's one of the things that makes it a victory for us, is because they are literally trying to come up with a technique where they don't have to answer questions about their faith, and I have to somehow prove them wrong and do the work for them. One of the latest questions I got was this one, and I'm going to quote it here. I'm not going to give the name of the creator, but it says, name one thing created without a design creator, which is not a storm or a crystal formula. You can't, but I'm willing to rate your response. And this is so typical now of pre-suppers. They give me this question where it says, you know, name something, one thing created without a creator designer, okay? And I'm thinking to myself, everything that doesn't have a human designer or creator is undesigned and not created, okay? It is a very easy response to make. We have, you know, I have lost track of the number of atheist videos I've seen debunking the design argument, okay? The assumptions behind it, the duality of the natural world. And it's interesting that this person who writes this question also wants two exceptions. Well, why do you want the exception of storms and crystal formations? Because they're really damn good evidence of something that gets created without a designer or without a creator. And so it's a very easy question for an atheist to answer. And so I'm like, I can't imagine that they're really that stupid, are they? And then the arrogance, of course, that most pre-suppers have. You can't, but I'm willing to wait for your response. It's showing an appeal to this kind of apologetics appeals to people's ego. Like, I can't be wrong about this, okay? And this is so typical. And I have to ask, you really don't think that this is going to convince an atheist, do you? But I can tell you one thing it would convince. If I was already believing, this question hits all my emotional buttons if I'm already believing. You know, I already believe that everything's designed and created, so I'm automatically, through my confirmation bias, agreeing with the first premise that name something that doesn't have a designer creator. And it's like grass, trees, rock formations, the stars, the universe. It's like I have a long list of things I can name. And then he said, well, those are created. Well, prove they're created then. Okay? And this is a dumb question that ultimately gets reversed. And so it's like you can't be serious about this question, right? Name one thing created or design without a designer or creator. Yeah, but the issue is everything designed and created? And that answer, no. Okay, and it's a double thing, because they're saying, oh, you're saying it's created. No, I'm saying it's not created. And it's like, it's a trick question. Okay, it's a little trap there too. I'm sorry, the issue is whether or not certain things are designed and created, and I say no. Okay, there's natural forces that explain. The reason I can't, per se, is that it's a trick question. And this has become the hallmark of pre-suppers, is to ask questions like this. But then the arrogance on top of it, this all appeals to the emotion of the believer. If you already have a preconditioned, I already believe in this, you believe everything's designed and created, yeah, you're right in the question. And then the exceptions. Well, why the exceptions? Oh, because they're really damn good examples of something that comes into being without a creator or a designer. And then, the hubris at the end, you can't, but I'm willing to read your response. And it's like, no, you're not. You're not looking to read my response. You're looking to respond to my response saying, see, you admit that this is designed. And it's like, no, I don't admit it's designed. You are putting those words in my mouth. And this appeals to somebody who already believes, okay? But it's sure as hell not going to convince an atheist who knows what they're doing, okay? Who has any way, shape, or form considered the design argument. Okay, and so the pre-supper is going off, just attacking my, understanding of things, but doesn't want to defend theirs. Okay, you say a tree is designed and built by a creator, prove that. Okay, but they don't want to. They want to keep the emphasis on me. It's defense by counterattack. They're trying to keep people on their toes. And what they're tacitly admitting is, I don't really have proof for my faith. I don't have any proof that there really is a designer or creator. And so instead of presenting the fact and making it pretty clear to everybody that I don't have that evidence and I don't have that stuff, I'm going to attack the atheist or I'm going to attack the non-believer with these silly questions and then emotionally think I've won a victory. I see a lot of, I had, several pre-suppers on here that tried to, I've had other commenters that I've had to delete. I literally had a guy a week or two ago ask me to ban him. Okay, and I know what it is, because he's going to run off and tell his friends, hey, another atheist channel banned me. Isn't that great, fighting for Jesus? And my response to that is no. It just proves that you're a dick, okay? And that's the real problem I've had with the fact that you guys have to go to ad hominem, the fact that you have to just be jerks about this, kind of tells me something about the fact that you're scared. Okay, a person confident in their position doesn't have to ask questions like this. They just present the evidence for their position. But you don't know how to do that. I have realized that apologetics, all of it, is really about keeping the faithful faithful. But presuppositional apologetics is absolutely not about convincing anybody outside the faith of the faith. It is really, truly, and genuinely about keeping the faithful faithful. And to me, that is a sign that atheists are winning, and they know it. The fact that they have to delve into very emotional forms of apologetics, where they get the rah-rahs and they get the stuff like that, tells me that they're desperate. Okay, the fact that they won't give answers to when we say prove it tells me, well, they now recognize that they don't really have any good evidence for what they believe. They just want to believe it. They become like the South Park episode on Mormonism, where the kid says, yeah, I know my face sounds ridiculous and everything. It's like he's openly admitting that Mormonism has a lot of nonsense attached to it, but he still believes it anyway. And this is where pre-suppers are taking the Christian church. Is I know we don't have any evidence for stuff. I know we don't have a lot of what we believe and think is nonsense and just as nonsensical as other mythologies. But you know what? I'm going to believe it anyway, and I'm going to attack anybody that doesn't believe as I do. I'm now convinced that if they stay on the presuppositional path, the next time we have a poll about religious belief, it'll be even more, okay, more atheists, more agnostic, more nuns, having no religion. This is where you're headed. I recognize the presup was this kind of emotional appeal to the crowd, to the choir, so to speak. And it's basically, we're going to use critics of our faith as a way to bolster the faith of people inside. But it's not going to, anybody who knows anything about anything can defeat a lot of these questions and have already done so. If you want to keep the faithful faithful, emotion is the way to do that. And presuppositional apologetics is very emotionally based. And because of that, I think we're winning. Okay? I know that sometimes, the political social landscape doesn't make it feel like we're winning. But I realize that the passage of time is my friend at this point, okay? Because I do believe very much the next time we get a poll about religion in America, you're still going to see a rise of the nuns. You're still going to see a rise of atheism and agnosticism in the United States. And then you're also going to see a lot of things just fade away as time passes by, because this is the last hurrah of a lot of people. And to me, presuppositional apologetics and the rise of it and the fact that mainstream apologists are now embracing it more and more, or at least elements of it, tells me that they realize they don't have good answers. They don't have convincing answers. So they're just going to shell up and throw accusations at me, the atheist. And so, but, I'm going to continue to look back in their face and say, okay, to this person, I would say, well, I'll tell you what, I'll answer your question when you give me the evidence and proof that a tree is designed. Go ahead. I'll wait. And that's the thing. They always want you to answer their questions, but they never want to respond to yours. or respond to your. And so I'm kind of done with pre-suppers, because until you realize that your form of apologetics, this whole idea of grounding, so what? It doesn't prove that your religion is the true one. You still have to prove your faith is true. Prove it. And that's where lies your problem. So as long as I see presuppositionalist ideas being more and more growing in mainstream apologetics and other places, I'm going to kind of say that we're winning. It's a victory for atheists, because it means the other forms of apologetics you've abandoned, which actually tried to answer questions and tried to prove the faith, you're abandoning that whole task of proving your faith. You're abandoning, Peter's admonition to give the reason for the hope that's within you, and you're trying to attack other people. You don't have good reasons for the hope that's within you, and you know it, okay? And so you emotionally cling to your faith, and you engage in presuppositional apologetics, which reinforces your emotional need for faith. And so from my perspective, thanks for letting us know that you don't have any rationality left or any proof for your claims. It's sad, because if I was still a theist, I'd be sad about this, because it's like, aren't we just like openly admitting we don't have proof for our faith? I think we are. Well, that's my thoughts. I'd be interested in your thoughts in the comments. If you think I'm wrong or I've missed something, but it's just I now am firmly convinced that we're winning even more because of the rise of presupp apologetics. Okay, and seeing it now in like Cameron on Camp Christianity, and Braxton Hunter has elements of it himself now. It's like, you guys are going Planaga on me, and you're basically saying I don't have to prove my point, you have to disprove it. And it's like, I'm not doing the work for you. Prove your faith, or sit down and realize you don't have good reasons. I just don't have time for that anymore either. So, I'll let Breakfast Tacos do the presuppositionalist atheist stuff and show how ridiculous your claims are by simply reversing it and putting it back on you. But I'm going to do it too. Prove your point. Prove it. It seems like you're afraid of those two words. Prove it. But thanks for stopping by. Interested in your thoughts on it. Comment away. I appreciate it if you like, share the video. Comment away. Always anything to get the video noticed, but for the YouTube algorithm, I always appreciate. Thank you very much for that. The best way to support the channel is membership. That monthly support allows me to do editorials like this, to do the Deconverters Bible studies, to do the live streams. All the membership support is great, and it's always wonderful. Thank you very much for all my members, from citizens, rabid citizens to tribunes, all three different types of members I have here. Thank you very much. I appreciate you supporting my work. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around, and then it's over. So you want to take all your time, money, and opportunities and spend them on yourself, the people you love and care for, to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time.